Welcome to the Business of Craft podcast presented by Stitchcraft Marketing. For nearly 16 years, we've taught retailers, manufacturers, and makers in the craft space how to thrive. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And if you like what you hear, leave a review to help others find our content.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Leanne Presley, your host of Business of Craft. You're listening to Season 8, Episode 9. And today we're going to be talking about the topic in Chapter 11 of our book, Marketing Magic for Savvy Craft Businesses. And that is mastering email newsletters for deeper engagement. So we're going to start with a quick bit of marketing magic vocabulary, if you will, which is pull versus push marketing. So your social media posts, your blogs, your website, your podcast, all of those are what we consider to be pull tactics, right? So you're trying to attract people to come and find you. And that's super powerful and it's a very effective tool. But with a newsletter, we're considering that the complete opposite. It's a push tactic, right? You're nudging your customer to pay attention with their permission, right? And I want you to remember that because we're going to come back to it. And here's where the magic really happens. So the newsletter really lets you bypass all of that algorithmic rigmarole, and it connects you directly with the people, your customers, who've already told you that they want to hear from you, right? And that's incredibly powerful. And like I said, it's called permission-based marketing. And it's really like the highest, most privileged level of access that we can get with our customers. And if you've never heard of this concept, permission marketing, I would highly recommend Seth Godin's book. It's called Permission Marketing, and I'll put a link in the show notes for you. But that is really going to be your deep dive primer on this concept of permission marketing and why it's so powerful. You know, and I'm just going to put on my consumer hat for a second here and share with you. When I give out my email address, I sign up for a newsletter. I mean, I feel like that's a really personal thing, right? Aside from maybe my cell phone number, which is super high priority for me, my email address is pretty important. And I guess I'm not like most people who have separate email accounts for different purposes. Like I know some people that have set up a Gmail account like just for the newsletters that they sign up for, which helps them filter and delete and manage all of that incoming content. But for me, I just use my personal email address. So it's super important that I'm only getting content in that inbox that I really value and want to receive. And I imagine your customers feel the same way about that. They're giving you the privilege of coming into their inbox. So I want to quote from our marketing craft retailer survey. This is a proprietary piece of research that we did back in 2023, where we surveyed over 900 craft retailers. And the statistic that jumps out at me is 46% of craft retailers who took the survey report that their newsletters are an effective revenue driver. But still, many of them don't know how to prioritize this tool. So, you know, when we look at all the different marketing tools available to us, this is, as reported by our survey respondents, one of the most effective ways to make money. And I can attest to that. I've worked with over 300 companies in the craft space. And without a doubt, when I ask them, hey, what is the one thing you're doing in marketing that's working really well? Inevitably, a well-crafted newsletter that is consistent, it's always at the top of the list. And by the way, I know some of you who might be new listeners are thinking, oh, I have never heard of this survey that you guys did. So if you would like a copy of the executive summary, we share it for free. You know, one of our values at the agency is always to raise all ships in the craft industry. So we provide this executive summary of all the results for free. And I will also put a link to that download in our show notes if you want to get more information about that survey. We covered, I think, over 100 questions and some really, really valuable insights in that survey. So get your hands on that. All right, back to our topic. So we need to start with building that newsletter in the right way, right? So I know so many people that just kind of set it and forget it. And that is not the mindset that I want you to have with building your newsletter. It is not set it and forget it. Growing your list is going to require your attention and your intention, right? I want you to make it easy for customers to subscribe and promote your sign-up form across all of your touch points. Let's not forget that. So it's going to be on your website in a conspicuous place. It might be a pop-up. It might be a navigational link, either at the top or the bottom, the footer or the top right header. It's going to be in your socials, not every social post, obviously, but I would rotate that in a couple of times a month. It's going to be just a post about signing up for your newsletter. If you've got a brick and mortar store, you're going to have opportunity for them to sign up for your newsletter either by providing their address at the checkout. Some stores have an iPad or tablet right there for you to sign up for the newsletter. Your events is a great place to collect names. I mean, even if it's kind of old school, like let's say you're an independent yarn dyer and you go to a fiber festival, have the clipboard. I don't know if you've got all of that integrated into your checkout process, but if not, I know people that are still doing just an old-fashioned clipboard and collecting names. And sometimes you want to collect more than just a name and an email. At the very least, if you're looking to minimize friction and make this easy, just do the name and the email. But if you can try to capture birthdays or purchase history or other interests, which will then kind of open the door for us to do some personalization, which we'll talk about in a minute. You can include existing customers, like if you've got a POS system and you've collected those emails. Our current CAN-SPAM laws say that, yes, if you have had a relationship with a customer, even if they haven't filled out a form or anything like that, it implies permission, and you can go ahead and send to them. But remember, the CAN-SPAM laws are laws governing how you can send marketing correspondence and emails. You cannot, and I just want to repeat, you cannot just go grab a list somewhere or buy a list from a third-party vendor and start sending them newsletters. So let's say you're attending like a trade show or an event or something, and as part of being an exhibitor, you are given an email list of everybody that's coming. I mean, unless it's in the fine print where they understand, again, they're giving you permission to send to them, you're not allowed to do that. I have a lot of clients, well, not a lot because we're training them and teaching them, but I have had some clients come to me and say, oh, I'm all set. I've got a huge list. I went and bought something from a professional organization or from wherever. And I would say, first of all, it's illegal to do that. And second of all, I mean, remember the goal here, right? We've talked about this so much. People buy from people they know, like, and trust. Sending an email to somebody that has not given you permission is probably one of the number one ways to lose trust. So even if you've got their email address, I think, and this happens to me, when I get an email in my inbox that I know I did not sign up for, I'm kind of mad about it. Like, I don't want you to make the assumption that I want to hear from you. So let's operate under that assumption that even if you have an email address from somebody that you acquired from some crazy place, I don't think you should use it because it's not starting off on the right foot with your customer with a foundation of permission. So let's remember that. Hey there, everybody. It's Leanne Presley with Stitchcraft. I just wanted to share with you a new announcement we have about a brand new community that we're launching in 2025. You know, crafting's always been about community. So why do less than 20% of craft business owners feel a sense of community with other owners in the craft industry? And that data point comes directly out of our research. We're so busy creating strong communities for our customers that we always forget we need the same level of support and guidance and camaraderie that we have curated for our customers. So our SCM, Stitchcraft Marketing, Members Only, provides an exclusive, dedicated online space for individual and group mentorship, marketing exercises, specialized courses, accountability, and encouragement to help you level up your skills as a craft business owner. The whole community is going to be guided by the marketing professionals that run Stitchcraft Marketing, who, as you know, also love crafting. We are knitters, we're crocheters, we're sewists, we're quilters, we're garment makers, and we've been there in the trenches struggling along with our clients. And so we know what you're seeking as a business owner. If you are a small craft business owner juggling all of those responsibilities to run your business, this community is absolutely for you. Each month, Members Only is going to focus on a different topic related to running an efficient craft business. We'll have coursework, classes, opportunities for personalized coaching and mentorship. So check it out. It's going to be at our website, stitchcraftmarketing.com, and you'll see the tab at the top for Members Only. Hope to see you in there. All right. So like I mentioned earlier, we know everybody's inbox is crowded. I mean, I probably get, 10 to 20 a month. So how do you make your newsletter stand out? And again, you can put on your consumer hat and you can think about what was the last newsletter that when you saw that come into your inbox, you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to open that one. I want to stop what I'm doing. I'm going to read it right away. What is it about that newsletter and that content and that brand that you find so intriguing? And I would venture to guess it's going to have something to do with the value, right? It somehow makes your life better. It's educating you. It's entertaining you. It's providing you with some sort of solution or some other aspect of your life that it helps improve. The best newsletters are kind of a combination of all three of those things. They educate, they entertain, and they might promote, right? But overall, it comes down to value. Side note, I get a lot of questions when I'm teaching about, how do I know how often to send a newsletter? And I would say, you know what? You are going to be able to answer that question by looking at your analytics. If you go into the back end of your data and your analytics of any email platform, they all have this, you'll be able to see very quickly the answer to that frequency question. Because if you've got high open rates and click-through rates, and I'm talking at least what I see in the industry, somewhere in the neighborhood of 40%, 50%, 60%, if you're in that threshold, you are doing something right. Your customers are telling you, I love what you're sending. If your numbers are not that robust, if you're in the teens percentile, the low 20s, then I would say they're telling you either A, you're sending it too often because they're not opening it all the time, or B, they're not finding value in the content of that newsletter because it's just coming in the inbox and they're not opening it. So I would say reduce your quantity and increase your quality if you're seeing those kinds of numbers in your analytics. You want to be balancing product information with your highest quality content, like tutorials, origin stories, highlights of your community, tips, tricks, something generous, right? Do not be that person that sends the sell, buy my stuff. Here's a promo, here's a coupon. I think if you have customers that respond to that kind of content, then you've got a different problem at hand, which is now you're appealing to a discount culture and it's just going to be a race to the bottom when you're looking at price, right? If that's the only thing they're responding to, again, then you've got a different problem with that customer base. But what I'm hoping is that your customer base really values high quality content coming from you. And remember, we talk about generosity marketing. Here is where that really applies. I also get questions about how long, how short. I think the golden rule is, it depends, right? You don't want to be too long. You don't want to be too short. You don't want to be too salesy. You don't want to be too text heavy. Your content should really just be right. And sometimes that's going to take some iterations for you to determine what your audience is responding to. Generally speaking, no wall of text emails, please. Nobody likes that. Especially in our industry, we're visual people. We want to see beautiful, inspiring graphics and images. So make sure it's not too text heavy. Also, you want to make sure that your email is coming from a person at your company, not just, like info@yarncompany.com. There is a way you can configure those outbounds so it has a name. So I would recommend that you do that. And then lastly, I would say, remember the difference between push and pull. So you don't want your push marketing to have the exact same content as your pull marketing, right? So that means you are not putting the same exact content on your blog that you're publishing in your newsletter. Because if you were, why would I give you my email address, right? If I can just browse on by your blog on your website at my leisure, then why would I give up my email address to you, right? The reason I'm giving you my email address is because I'm getting something better, more juicy, more helpful, more generous, something that I can't just get on your website. So make sure that that newsletter content is always the higher value piece in your content mix. All right, let's talk about segmentation. If you don't know what segmentation means, it's just another layer of personalization that can help your emails land with the right audience. So you can segment or split them up into different groups. Remember, we always talk about our avatar. This could be your different types of customer avatar in your business. Like if you've got a yarn shop and you've got knitters versus crocheters, or you have a fabric store and you've got quilters versus garment makers, those could be some separate segments. It could be the types of classes that they're participating in. So maybe dividing them by skill level, your beginner versus your advanced intermediate. It could be different locations. So you might have a list for your northern shop versus your southern shop. If you've got two shops in different regions, for example. And by providing your customer with something segmented that's really specific to them, you're raising the bar of that value for them, right? I mean, think of, for example, I'm a garment maker. I'm also a quilter, but think about a customer that may only be a garment maker. Like, I don't really want to hear about how to get perfect corners or perfect points on my quilt if I'm really more concerned about how to do buttonholes on my shirt, right? And pretty quickly, if you keep sending me content about quilting, I'm going to just unsubscribe. Whereas if you're sending me really highly calibrated, targeted content about how to be a better garment maker, then that's the email I'm going to open right away every time. So that segmenting can allow you to sort of refine your niche. And the way that you do that is when you're collecting names or you've got your form on your website and you're asking people to sign up for your newsletter, you can ask them to self-segment. And they will choose the types of newsletters that they want to receive from you. And I would say if you're listening and you're like, oh gosh, I don't even have a newsletter going out. Well, let's just start there. We're going to just practice sending once a month a high quality, high value newsletter, and then think of segmenting as your 2.0. All right, automations is another thing we recommend, which is kind of your invisible assistant in your marketing, on your marketing team. I would start with what we call a welcome sequence. So this is going to be an automated series of emails that greets new subscribers And it's going to be in 3 parts. Typically, you will share your brand story in the first one, welcoming them to your community. Maybe the second one's going to showcase some products. It's going to talk more about your differentiator. It might include a sign-up incentive that you promised, like, buy this pattern and get 10% off the yarn. Or, I'm sure as consumers, you're all very familiar with this strategy. If you've signed up for a newsletter, you've gotten a discount or some other high-value deliverable. Research shows that 74% of subscribers expect a welcome email, and that welcome email gets 100 to 400% more opens than regular emails. So that's really, really powerful. You really just can't ignore that. Some typical automations that we'll configure for clients would be a birthday email, an order confirmation, abandoned cart sequences, product recommendations. It could also be an automation for a specific purchase. Like, for example, we've got clients that are Bernina dealers. And so if someone comes in and buys a Bernina machine, it might be an automation that's like, hey, welcome to the Bernina family, some basics about how to operate the machine. Then the next automation might be something like, here are the accessories that you might be interested in, or specialized feet that go with the machine. The third one might be how to access the classes specific for Bernina new users and how to get going on your machine. I mean, there's so many different things that you can do with automations. So think about that for any machine sales or spinning wheels or weaving looms, like really anything that might be a high learning curve product that you're selling. That's a great opportunity for an automation. And the nice thing about automations, once you've got them set up, they're just kind of running in the background, nurturing customers while you're sleeping, right? It's not something you've got to sit down and work on every month like a regular newsletter. So I encourage you to maybe once a month or every other month, build a new automation. And then maybe at the end of the year, you're going to have 5 or 6 of them. Again, that's going to be in the long run, relieving the time burden of your marketing efforts. And then I want you to measure your newsletter. As always, I'm a big data person, and I always recommend that you utilize your data to inform your marketing strategies. So you want to go into your backend analytics and take a look at your click-through rates, your conversion rates, your unsubscribe rates, your bounce rates. Those are all really important for you to keep your finger on the pulse of what's happening with your newsletter. I would say if your unsubscribe climbs more than 7%, you might need to refine your content or your segments, or clean your lists. If your bounce rates are on your clicks, are high also, this is kind of true for your website in general. Anything above 30% on a bounce rate is something that suggests you got some tweaking to do. And then don't forget about A/B testing. Again, this is kind of a 2.0, more of an advanced marketing concept. And we do have some blogs on our website about A/B testing and how to do that. But A/B testing is essentially trying out different subject lines, different send times, different formats. It's kind of 90% of the same thing, but 1 or 2 variables might be different. And you can see what resonates and then iterate. So if you find from your A/B test, B is performing better than A, you kick out A. So maybe that's a subject line. You stick with subject line B, and then now you introduce a new A. So maybe you're testing the successful subject line with a brand new subject line. And so you're continually iterating to see what are the things that your customers are responding to, and then optimizing as you go forward. Let's just go through a really quick newsletter checklist. All the things you need in a really successful newsletter. You need a great subject line. You need clear sections with headers that are readily defined. And some clients will do the same sections every month, which is great because that's consistent. Of course, high value content, visual appeal, mobile friendly design, because remember your customers might be looking at this on their phone. A strong call to action, an unsubscribe link, outbound links. It might be like to your social media at the bottom of the footer. Tracked links. Make sure you're using UTM codes if those are applicable to the content in your newsletter. Proofreading, always run it through your Grammarly and your spell check and all of those to make sure that all of that's going out in the most professional way. And test it. Send one to yourself to make sure that it's rendering the way that you are anticipating. All right. Your call to action, make sure you've got that. Your call to action for this podcast is to just get started. If you haven't set up a newsletter yet, this is your opportunity to try it out. Again, I'm always surprised with clients that are like, no, I don't really have a newsletter. And then we get it going for them. It's one of the services we provide as an agency. And then several months later, they're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea I could generate so much revenue from that tool. And I say, well, yeah, it's the permission. It's the permission-based marketing. It really can be one of the most powerful marketing tools at your disposal. As always, you want to make sure your voice is coming through, you're authentic in your newsletter, and just go for it. Just try it. Let us know how that works out for you. As always, this podcast episode today is really just a snippet of the content that we're covering in our book, Marketing Magic for Savvy Craft Businesses. So this is covering chapter 11. If you want a deeper dive, head on over to stitchcraftmarketing.com/magic to get a copy of your guidebook, as it will. And then just a reminder to those of you listening to this podcast as it is immediately released in October of 2025. Our main topics over in our Stitchcraft Members Only Community will be around getting ready for the holiday season. That's going to be end of October and going into November. We want you to be at your very best and ready for the holiday season. You've only got one shot to make this right. So we're going to be presenting a lot of content and having live discussions and mentoring. And of course, there's the community with other members to help you do your best. We actually have a special guest coming into the community. She is a retail expert, and she'll be talking to you exclusively about how to optimize your holiday season. So if you haven't heard about our members only community, you can jump on over to stitchcraftmarketing.com, and there's more information there about how to join. So hope to see you over there in the community. All right, folks, thanks again for your time and listening to this episode of Business of Craft. If you found value in today's topic, please share the episode or leave a comment or some feedback on your podcast platform. And I have to say, go to our website and sign up for our newsletter, right? Consider subscribing to our newsletter, which is on our homepage, because we are practicing what we preach. And you get a lot of great content in our newsletter. So, all right, thanks everybody for your time. And we'll see you on the next episode of Business of Craft. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Business of Craft. Hey, before you go, don't forget about all of our free resources, including our monthly Magic newsletter, our twice monthly blogs, our free live monthly office hours where you can jump on, learn a topic, and get a little bit of free consulting, our executive summary of the 2023 research for craft retailers that you can download directly from our website. And we have a lot of tutorial videos as well as recordings of all of our past office hours on our YouTube channel. So find all those resources at our website, stitchcraftmarketing.com. And on our website, you can also purchase a copy of our book, Marketing Magic for Savvy Craft Businesses in Kindle, paperback, or audio format. See you next time.